Hey, it'd be pretty tough going to jail, right? And I reckon it could almost be as tough once you're free, back in the real world, starting life again. And I imagine getting a job would be near impossible. Well, today's guest, he started a business helping ex-crims get jobs. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I said, welcome to a small business marketing show, where successful small business owners share their souls to take your marketing straight to the lead. Now, here's your host, Mr. Timbo Reid.
And welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Australia's #1 marketing show. I'm your host, Timbo Reid. You, so much more importantly, you're a motivated business owner. You know that. And you are ready to crank out some great marketing in order to build that beautiful business of yours into the empire it deserves to be. That's what we do around here. So well done for finding your way back to the world of small business, big marketing. And hey, maybe you're here for the first time. Stick with us. It's a good show. You'll learn. Promise. You might even have a laugh along the way. Hey, big show today. Ron Stefanski. Jobs for felons. Yeah, that's his business. It's an online business, and as I said at the top of the show, he gets ex-crims jobs. He's got a great story to tell and how he's gone about building this little online business, not an empire, not yet. It's quite inspiring. I've got an update on something very, very close to my heart. Starts with P. Can you guess what it is? No, not my pancreas. Something closer. More on that in a minute. Got some listener feedback from a couple of motivated listeners and a motivational quote about dead fish. Yeah, I know. Who would have thought? Hey, today's show made possible thanks to the good folk at Net Registry who can help get the marketing of your business online sorted once and for all. Yeah. Like just get that baby underway and under control. They can do it. Head over to netregistry.com.au/Timbo. And we're made possible by Audible. They've got 180,000 audiobooks ready for immediate download. That's kind of a lot. That's like a lot of choice. I don't know if I like choice. I want someone to tell me what book to listen to. More on that later. Hey, you can get a free one though of your choice over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. That would stand for Small Business Big Marketing. All right, as per usual, there's marketing GOLD dripping from the ceiling over here at Small Business Big Marketing's HQ. So let's get stuck right in.
Do you need a speaker for your next conference? Recommend Timbo to your event organiser. Or better still, book him. Tim Reid, that's reid.com.au.
Okay, team, coming up, we are joined by Ron Stefanski, who helps ex-crims get jobs. Fascinating chat. But first, a little bit of a check-in. Something that's on my mind, something that I am particularly excited about at this moment in time. Podcasts. Yeah, I'm really, really excited about what is going on in the world of podcasting, the shows that are coming out. I mean, it's fantastic. It's getting more competitive. I'm cool with that because it means the medium is growing, right? And I tell you what, I'm listening to more and more podcasts. Are you? Let me tell you 3 that I'm just loving at the moment. I could be putting myself out of an audience here. I don't mind. You'll come back. If your business benefits from listening to the show, you'll come back. But, you know, watch a little less telly, a little less YouTube, and listen to more podcasts. One that I'm loving at the moment, Beautiful Anonymous, it's called. It's hosted by a New York comedian, Chris Gethard, and the premise of the show is one phone call, 1 hour, no names, right? And he has these anonymous conversations with people who ring him for 1 hour. The phone hangs up on the 60-minute mark, but they're beautiful conversations. He doesn't try to be funny. He's a comedian, but he doesn't try to be funny. They're just heartfelt conversations, and a lot of the people get quite personal. Great show, Beautiful Anonymous. Another one I'm loving, Alec Baldwin. It's called Here's the Thing, and he hosts it. And he has these intimate conversations with artists and policymakers and performers. He goes to their home or they come into the studio and they just have a chinwag. Alec Baldwin and Paul Simon, Billy Joel, Seinfeld, Michael Douglas, to name a few. It's amazing. Isn't it just like, it freaks me out what's available on podcasts for free. It's great. Another one I'm loving, third one, last one, Song Exploder. It's where musicians take apart their songs and then piece by piece tell the story of how the songs were made. So I love music, but I'm also fascinated about where ideas come from. And Song Exploder is a great example of that. So, I always think sometimes we should listen to stuff that, just kind of stretches our mind. What do they say? The mind once stretched never regains its original dimensions. So love it. Love podcasts. I love the fact that the medium is I think it's in a bit of a purple patch at the moment. If you're thinking of starting one, start one. Hey, I'd encourage you to do that. You want to talk about it, join the Small Business Big Marketing Club and get in there and into the forum and I'll help you. So that's podcasts. What else want to check in on? Tour. The Philippines tour. You coming? 5 seats are booked. Yeah, there's 5 left. Pretty excited about this, Creating Freedom Through Outsourcing tour. So I'm taking 10 guests to the Philippines in June 13 to 15, 2016. And if you've listened to the last 2 or 3 episodes, you'll know what's going on. But basically, if you'd like to reduce your overheads and you'd like to grow your business and have more fun and create more freedom, then come with me to the Philippines and I will show you, along with my mate David Warren, just what's available to Aussie business owners. That's exciting. Creating More Freedom Through Outsourcing is the tour. You can find out more about it over at smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/freedom. Love to see you on it. And a big thank you to Jess. Yeah, Jess from the Soar Collective. Now, young Jessica, I went to my P.O. box the other day and found a lovely envelope stuffed with some goodies and a lovely note from you. So thank you. Now, listeners, Jess supported me. I love getting a gift, but let me support Jess. Jess owns a business called the Soar Collective, and she's got a mission to connect and support regional business women of calibre, I like that, through online communities, authentic networking events, and practical workshops. And she is doing a wonderful job. I've met Jess on a number of occasions, and she is passionate about helping entrepreneurial women in regional areas, and I love that. Check soarcollective.com out. All right, that'll do. That's a bit of a check-in, hey? I hope you haven't gone off and listened to those other podcasts I told you about just yet. Download them. Stick with it because we've got a big show coming up. Let's get on with it.
Hey fellow business owners, Brad Beer here, Pogo Physio and host of the Physical Performance Show podcast. If you're looking for a comprehensive yet not overwhelming guide to marketing, then I've got to say look no further than Timbo's The Boomerang Effect. It's a great read, really easy to get through, written in Timbo's fun, colloquial yet informative style. So jump over, grab your copy and put it to action because there's marketing gold dripping from its yellow pages. Enjoy, guys.
Oh, thanks, Brad. Mate, that's very kind. Glad you enjoyed the book. Quite ironic that you say that the marketing gold is dripping from the yellow pages. I think what you were referring to is that the cover of my book, The Boomerang Effect, is pineapple yellow. So that's the yellow pages he's talking about. Comprehensive but not overwhelming. Nice description, Brad. It's certainly how I meant the book to come across. I've got this view on business books that they can be a little bit overwhelming. I wanted to cover all aspects of this concept of helpful marketing in my book, but I didn't want it to overwhelm. So maybe I've nailed that. Hey? Thanks, Brad. And team, if you want to get a signed and personalised copy of The Boomerang Effect, you can head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com, order one, $30. Hey, that's cheap. It's full of big ideas, and I'll send it to you. Okay, jobs for crims. That's what we're about to do. Jobs for ex-crims, really, isn't it? Hey, thanks to Adam Spencer from Morning Raw podcast for suggesting I interview my next guest, who is Ron Stefanski from the online business jobs for felons hub.com. What I love about Ron, he gets an incredibly he shares an incredibly personal story around why why he started a business. He's got a great why. Hey, there's a bit of a connection there between intelligent business owners. They're clear on their why. Ron, he's not trying to build an empire, by the way. He's got a nice little online business that's ticking along, which I think has huge potential. And I won't keep my powder dry. I will say that if you're in Australia, I don't think a business like this exists. So, hey, there's a little idea you might want to implement. And Ron genuinely wants to help folk that a large portion of society don't want to help. So I salute him for doing that. I started off by asking him, what's the biggest animal he could knock out with one punch?
A bear, obviously.
Man, really?
I don't know. I have no idea. Probably really a dog of some sort. I don't know. I'll just go with grizzly bear though, just to act tough.
You're a tough guy.
I did do boxing for a few years actually, so I don't really know. I've never boxed an animal before, but who knows?
Well, may you never have to. But
yeah.
A grizzly bear, that's kind of like something out of a Jim Carrey comedy, you know?
Yeah.
Boxing, what did you learn from boxing from a business perspective?
I mean, really hard work, I guess you could say. It really pays off is just a big thing that I've learned. I mean, in everything I've done, I've been an athletic guy my whole life pretty much. I was always like a 3-sport athlete in high school and this, that, and the other. So,
were you a jock?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I was a jock. I didn't care about grades at all. It's actually funny. I in high school, my grade point average was like a 2.0 out of a 4.0, and then I hit college and realized like, hey, wait a minute, I have to actually care about this stuff. So then I really hit it hard. But yeah, just hard work, I would say, with anything. I mean, with that, you gotta be in good shape to be able to do boxing.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Like hard, well, you got to be in good shape to do business. I've just been on a 10-day health retreat and was reminded upon getting back, feeling different, feeling better, clear mind. It makes a difference to business. So, and if business is it about hard work or? It's hard work, it's smart work too, isn't it? I mean, hard work to me says you've got to do lots of hours. I'm not sure that's necessarily the case.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that. I'm actually a big advocate of like, I do my websites and stuff. So big advocate of using analytics to make any decisions ever.
A geeky jock.
Yeah. No, I basically was a jock that turned geeky that still tries to keep that jock side alive, But yeah, for me, man, no, definitely. I think, working hard because everybody else is working to outwork you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really competitive, probably because of my athletic background. So I'm really competitive. So not only that, but yeah, working smart is, if you're just banging your head against a wall for 8 hours a day, it doesn't make much sense. So,
How do you work smart, Ron? How do you decide what to work on? Because we've all got lots of stuff to do.
Well, for me, since I got the websites going, I actually do a ton of outsourcing. I actually outsource things usually to the Philippines. But in terms of deciding what to work on, I will look at my analytics and I'll just kind of find out the opportunities. I guess like with Jobs for Felons Hub, that website really a newer opportunity that I noticed was felony voting rights. Like, felons that, they leave prison and then they're looking for their voting rights. Well, how can they still vote? So I went and outsourced the whole database to find out that information and create pages on it.
Oh, hang on. Let's just step back there. That's interesting. So you've gone into your analytics. You've been having a sniff around. And by the way, listeners, if you don't have Google Analytics installed on your website, do it. It's free and it's a smart thing to do. You have gone into keywords or had a look to see what are people keying into Google to arrive at my site. One of those searches was felons voting rights. So you go and outsource the creation of a whole lot of content. I'm guessing, what are we talking, blog posts?
Yeah, so what it actually is, and you're absolutely right, it's all about the analytics. But what I do is I'll say, okay, so felon voting rights in and then felony voting rights in Arizona, felony voting rights in Alabama, in Arkansas, every single state in the U.S. So basically build out 50 pages, not blog posts, although you could do blog posts, but I do actual pages because I like a different layout and stuff. But yeah,
do you know if Google cares about that, a post versus a page?
Personally, I've never heard that it makes a difference.
Yeah, okay.
Quite honestly.
And felon voting rights Arizona versus felon voting rights Chicago, for example. How different is the content on each of those pages? Are you just changing the location or more?
No. It differs state by state.
Yeah, okay, of course.
States they'll have, and that's the key, right? Because I've actually made that mistake in the past.
Mirrored content.
Yeah, boilerplate type of things. Oops. I've done that in the past. Yeah, it doesn't really go that well.
Google hate it.
Yeah, they don't like it. So it's just the duplicate content stuff. So yeah, with this, I mean, I have a writer and I just basically tell her, okay, find out the felony voting rights in each and every state, and then she goes and writes the article, does it, posts it up, and then I'll pay her. At the end of the week, I pay her however many she gets done. And I just keep building out these databases, and that's how that website's grown so much. So.
Adding all those pages, Ron, we will go. I need to get back to Jobs for Felons and what it is, but it's a great conversation. Adding all those pages to the Jobs for Felons website, does that mean that are you connecting them to a primary button on your navigation bar, or are you just adding these pages knowing that someone won't trip over them if they're looking through your website, but they will rank well on Google?
Yeah, so with these... I know all your listeners aren't necessarily SEO people or whatever, but these types of terms, they're not searched a ton every month. We're talking less than 50 searches a month for each of them. So with that, usually they're not all that competitive. So people, just by typing in, felony voting rights or felon voting rights in Illinois, right? I may pop up in like the first page, but what I always do at the end of the page is I basically link them back to a main page that has all the states listed, right? So you have it starts off with felony voting rights state by state. Okay, that's like the main page, and then they can go to every state from there, and then it links back to that main page. So you don't want to ever just close it off to where it's kind of an orphan page out there on your website that doesn't link back to anything. That's not.
Well, again, Google like the idea of a website interlinking between themselves.
Yes.
You're with me. Now I have to put an R rating on this program. Damn. But like the idea, that's how the web's created. Like Google love this idea of a website connecting between pages within itself, as opposed to necessarily connecting to other websites outside of yours.
Yeah. And I'll say too that the nice thing is that, and this gets a little technical, but if somebody links to your website, they link to your homepage or whatever, any page, that link is then shared, I guess you could say, across your entire website through the interlinking. So there's shared equity there that gets pushed across your entire website when it's connected that way.
Woo, geek alert.
Yeah, there it is. I've been doing it for too long, way too long. Now, you should have seen my hands while I was talking about this just now.
Correct. Let me just take those geek glasses off and put something else back on. Now, let's talk about Jobs for Felons. What an interesting business. When I saw it, I thought, wow, I have not heard of that before. For those not in America, a felon is a criminal. Someone with a criminal record, would that be fair to say?
Yeah, well, they have, so in America, they have misdemeanors, which are not too serious of crimes, and then they have felonies, and the felonies are the bad crimes. That's
boys.
When you get, like really bad driving under the influence, and then you get into kidnap, murder, that really really bad stuff. But there's also lesser things that can happen too. But the felonies are much more serious crimes. Yes.
So what is Jobs for Felons?
Well, the website itself, so I'll tell you, I think it just makes sense to tell you how it came about.
Yeah.
Because that kind of explains how it all came to be. So my father actually remarried. And when he remarried, the lady that he had remarried, her son had a felony record. And he's actually a really, really nice guy.
Your stepbrother?
Yeah. Yeah, technically, I guess he would be, yeah. So he, he has he has one felony on his record. And basically, what it comes down to,
what is it?
It was. I'm trying to think. It was drug related.
Okay.
I don't know the exact. He had a drug problem.
Good
right?
guy,
So now,
drug problem.
Yeah,
committed a crime.
Yeah, and when they get a drug problem, they get addicted, and they'll do whatever they can to get that drug. So I think it was drug related, and I think that there was something with robbery or something. I don't know. I mean, obviously not a good thing. But again, I'm saying all this, and people are like, oh, that's terrible. But he's gone through. He's rehabilitated. He's a nice guy. He made a mistake,
and now he can't get a freaking job.
Yeah, and when in the U.S., and I know that you have the international community, but in the U.S., if you have a felony on your record, that is a very big black check mark. I mean, nobody wants to hire you because everybody's worried, oh, you're dangerous, you're this, you're that, and the other. And yes, there are going to be some people that are the really bad repeat offenders and quite frankly probably belong there, but there's also a lot of people who aren't like that. So he told me that and said, I'm having a really hard time getting a job. And that's kind of the problem, is that they leave prison and then all of society's turned their back. It's like, oh, you got to get rehabilitated, but nobody will give you a job. So what are you going to do? A lot of them turn back to crime because they don't know what else to do. How else are they going to live? So he told me this problem, and then I kind of researched it, and I put on my geek glasses, as you'd say, and I just researched and kind of found out, what the industry is and what's already out there. And there was actually about 5 or 6 websites that existed, but I looked at it and I was like, I could probably do this a little bit better because I have, quite a background in it. So I just started to research. What part of it
did you think you could do better, Ron? Was it just the design? Was it what it was offering?
The design, to me, the design was a big part of it. I mean, I looked at this stuff and it was like, wow, this is straight out of 2000 to me. So
yeah, gotcha.
That was a big part of it, but also it was just the information that they were depicting and the way that they were depicting it. They just the ways that they were doing things, and I just my experience, I was kind of like, I can probably do something better here. So I just kind of took it on and built a few things out, and I was hoping for around $500 a month, and it's well exceeded that at this point. But it's just I started there and built it out, and then I saw that things started to happen, and I created a Facebook community to all the people that come to the website. They can actually join that, and I just let them tell me what they need. It's really that simple. I just say, hey, you guys need this, you guys need this, and they'll say, what would be really helpful is if we did this. Like I just got a partnership with a company that helps with felony expungement. And for those who don't know what that means, that basically means they will, as a lawyer, if you qualify, and there's a lot of different stipulations here, but if you qualify, they will help to get your felony off of your record. So it's no longer an issue whatsoever. So it depends on the felony, but yeah.
So Ron, is the Jobs for Felons business, the website, it's a job board and a resource centre, and I'm guessing the revenue model is I don't know what is the revenue model.
It's interesting you say. So there's actually some surprises here that most people don't know. So the website in itself, yes, it is informational. What I'm calling it kind of now is just an informational website. It's just a bunch of resources put into one place online that everyone can go to and look at. But in terms of the revenue model, so Google AdSense is a big part of it. That's actually the biggest contributor there. We also are in Indeed.com, which is a job search engine. I don't know if you guys have it out there.
Not aware of it.
Yeah, so it's a job search engine, but basically, if somebody searches a specific job and then they click through and they click on a sponsored post, it's like Google AdSense. I'll get a few bucks, here or there just for that. And then also we do quite a bit of affiliate marketing. And then recently I jumped in and created those partnerships to actually sell leads to lawyers. So the lawyers will buy the leads for the felony expungement, but also divorce attorneys, bankruptcy, all these different things. So it's in a lot of different places, but believe it or not, still the number one revenue generator is definitely Google AdSense.
Interesting. Can you wrap some numbers around where Jobs for Felons, reveal as much as you like, Ron? I mean, how much is the site making? What visitor traffic have you got? I don't know. Tell us what you can tell us.
I'm totally transparent, Tim.
Love
so
it,
I actually don't. I have income reports and all that on my other website. So really right now, and it's a little bit difficult because the site has now gone viral twice. It goes viral on Facebook, which is an entirely different story. But when it does that, I get like 150 people on at a time. So in the last month, I've had 150,000 people there for the month, which is pretty crazy. In a typical month, it's somewhere around 60 to 70,000 people. So that's the typical, but it went viral, so it went big.
Are these all felons? I
it's
imagine
not.
there'd be a lot of people kind of curious, going, "Oh, jobs for felons."
It's a lot of the support systems of those people. It's a lot of the moms, dads, girlfriends, boyfriends, and actually another interesting statistics is that 70% of my website visitors are female, which nobody would guess. I don't think.
No.
That's really surprising for a lot of people, but it's because there's a lot of support systems that do this, and also now we're getting involved with government agencies, and they've kind of picked up on it. So it's become really the go-to source. But in terms of so traffic, 60 to 80,000 ish a month, and then in terms of revenue, usually it's tough to say because it's been fluctuating so much because of it just went viral and stuff. But I'm comfortable with saying somewhere around 1,500 to 2,000 in Google AdSense, 500 in Indeed, and then probably another 500 to 1,000 in the other areas with affiliates and partnerships.
Cool.
But yeah, and I think it'll be growing more actually because we just established those partnerships and stuff. So I think I'm not sure where it's going to end up, but I'm hoping for 5,000 plus a month would be really nice.
Well, I don't see why it could be so much more because you've all of a sudden, what you're doing, and particularly with your content creation that you mentioned earlier, you're creating a fairly rich resource and quite deep, going into very niche areas like voting rights, etc., that it's, at some point is going to have, already got some great traffic. And I just think there'd be other revenue models, it could be sponsorship, could be, you could do a podcast off the back of it. You could, YouTube would seem an obvious one. You're already getting AdSense from Google. I don't know, mate. I'd be looking at more than $5,000 between you and I.
Yeah, no, it's the one thing that's tough, and trust me, I've been digging around for this. And first off, we're ranked number 4 or 5 for our core keyword term. So our core keyword term is the term jobs for felons, right? So we're number 4 or 5 on the page for that. If we can get it up to number 1, that should bring it up quite a bit, and we're working on that.
Right.
But in terms of other ways, the problem is, the individuals that visit my website, obviously they don't have a ton of money to spend for good reason, and not many people really want to market to them because they don't have money to spend, So it's tough, but trust me, I've got one eye open, and I keep exploring new things for
Let's think about some sponsors. I'm thinking a tattoo removal company.
Yeah, you never know, right?
Or a tattoo company.
Yeah, the one thing when we started the partnership with the expungement company that got rid of the felonies, I said, hey, do you want to do some display ads? And I just said, I'll undercut whatever you're paying Google. And then, I'll undercut Google and you just pay me that. They said no in the beginning, but so far we've gotten them a lot of leads. So they actually might be willing to do that in the future. We'll see. But I'm really hoping because it'll save them money and it'll make me more money. So
nice.
Hopefully someone there will jump on it.
All right. I think we will pause things just about here. He seems like a cool kind of guy, right? Doing good, helping people out, people who kind of lost their way. Now, I'm about to ask Ron about some success stories that he's had from Jobs for Felons, but before I do that, let's hear from a couple of businesses that want to help grow your business. Support for this show comes from Net Registry, a one-stop shop for getting your online marketing sorted. Verity Ma, their Chief Marketing Officer, recently told me this story of a very happy mechanic.
So one of my favourite stories of customers that I heard was a salesperson was talking to a mechanic, and he was talking about what sort of email he would like to have and what kind of hosting, whether he wants cloud or cPanel hosting. And the mechanic just said, look, I don't care, build my website, here's my phone number, make my phone ring and send me the bill. And that was the last we heard of him. He didn't provide us content. He didn't provide us any details about his business. We had his contact details. We wrote all the content and we just got his phone ringing and sent him the bill.
Net Registry, where happy mechanics go to grow their business online. Visit netregistry.com.au or give them a buzz on 1300 638 734. And tell them Timbo sent you. This episode is also made possible by Audible, who's offering you a free audio book of your choice right now. Now, I've just finished listening to Huckleberry Finn. Loved it. What a great story, hey? I'm going to buy a raft and float down a river. I'm not sure what to listen to next, though. If you've got any ideas, let me know. Anyway, head over to audibletrial.com/SBBM and choose a free audiobook of your choice from 180,000 titles. It's a lot, isn't it? Hope you know which one you want to download for free. Head over to audibletrial.com/SBBM and get started today. And now back to Ron Stefanski from jobsforfelonshub.com. Now, Ron, success stories, mate. We got any?
Yes, I have two that I can kind of share. I mean, these are all mostly anecdotal, just off of the Facebook group. But a lot of people it's tough, right? Because I'll talk to people on there, and I am very, active in that community, and I'll talk to people, and they are down in the dumps when they join a lot of the time, and for good reason. They're having a hard time. But there has actually been two people, one female, one male in particular, that actually said, hey, I found this list, because we have a list of companies that hire felons that have actively said, yes, we hire felons.
Nice.
So they actually will say, I found you guys, and I found this list, and this actually is, I applied to a job and I actually got hired. So that's happened twice. And then I think the other big success is, really there's three parts to it. Another big success is that we actually have all those felony expungements. And I really, really like when they connect with those people. And it is actually because they have to be qualified as a lead. But whenever that happens, that person can pay $500 or less usually, and they will no longer have a felony, which is awesome because that record is now gone. So that's that. And then the last one, which is actually my favorite, is we actually started a job board, 100% free for employers to post. I don't charge anything for it. And I actually get quite a few employers that will just post jobs, and they're well aware that the individuals that they are hiring are, ex-felons, and they don't care. So that, to me, every time I see one of those, that's probably the best part of my day, because, that's a job that those people know. They don't, the background check isn't going to matter that much, and it is what it is. So I love those three things.
What a great little business, Ron. I'm guessing you probably don't spend a whole lot of time a month on it either.
No, not anymore. I mean, I'll say, my biggest thing is when there's momentum, I am the type that will analyze everything really, really, as much as I can. I'll analyze as much as I can and find any other opportunity, and get every bit of juice out of the orange, if you will. You know, so I'll do everything I can to do it. So I've been working a little bit on it, but for the most part, now I have a blogger or a writer that I have him write 2 articles a week. I proof them and I post them up. And then I will answer emails when they come in. I'd say in a given week, I probably work maybe 3 to 5 hours a week now on it compared to.
But that's good coin. You're doing $3,000 US a month, and that's only going to grow. I'm actually guessing, listeners, that and I haven't looked, but I'm not sure something like this exists in Australia. So if someone's listening and looking for a little idea, because it's very rare that we come across an idea, a business idea, Ron, that hasn't been executed these days. And I wonder whether there is something like this in Australia. Maybe you should go and do it. You'd have to change the word felons.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it. Why? What do they call felons out there?
Criminals.
What's the name?
Is it?
Criminals. Okay.
Even that sounds harsh, but that's what it is. Jobs for criminals.
You know what? Even felons is harsh. I've actually had people email me and say, "Why did you name it Jobs for Felons Hub?" And I tell them, "Well, that's what they search. I didn't.
Yeah, right.
It's not really.
What's the other word?
Well, it could be criminals. It could be ex-felons. It could be ex-offenders, ex-convicts. There's a lot of different things, but. Yeah, no, there's just a lot of different things, but no, I will say for Australia, I think everyone should create a website like this, and I call it a cause-based website, because the thing that's really cool about this website, and what I love about it a lot, is that, first off, I only thought I was hoping for like $500 a month. It's done much better than that. I never really intended to make a ton of money with it, but the really good part about it is that it's a lot of goodwill, and it helps a lot of people, which is just an awesome thing, because you're making the money for what you've done and what you've created, but it's at the same time, it's really helping people. I mean, this is something I've had plenty of people. Oh, I'm so thankful. I get these emails all the time in the Facebook community, people thanking me. And it's a feel good type of business, right? It's not all about the money. It's a feel good one.
I feel that. I get that just doing this show for the last 7 years, there's a commercial outcome to this show. I mean, I have sponsors and it pays its way, but I also, I get emails every day and I get listener reviews on iTunes and I get people hitting me up on social media saying what a difference it's made. And it's pretty cool to have a business like that, I'm sure both of us have been in businesses that weren't like that. So to feel the opposite is wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marketing jobs for felons. So you do a lot of SEO, you do a lot of content creation. How else do you kind of get it out there? Do you have partnerships? Do you run ads? How else?
Yeah, so I mean, really, I'm very geeky with that SEO stuff. I'm really good at it. So the SEO thing, I do a lot of that. But aside from that, I mean, that really is probably 80-90% of what it is.
Okay, just hold the 10%, keep the 10% dry for a minute. Just you're geeking out on SEO without geeking us out. What are you can you briefly give us, say, your top 3 or your top 5, I do this for the website week in, week out, or I make sure these SEO boxes are ticked week in, week out?
Yeah, my biggest thing, so keyword research and really going in and finding those good opportunities. I use, I don't know if you've heard of Longtail Pro before.
No.
That's a keyword research tool that I use called Longtail Pro. And it's really good. And the reason why I like it so much is because, well, I should say it's Longtail Platinum because it's the paid version, but they have a competitiveness score. And just to keep it bare bones easy, it tells you if something is easy to rank for in Google or difficult to rank for, right? It just tells you how competitive it is. So I do that. That's the biggest part of it. The second biggest thing is that every page that I create only has one keyword focus, right? So sometimes people will try to have 5 or 6 keyword targets, right? Or 5 to 6 different keywords for one page. I actually don't do that. Like I just said, felon voting rights in Illinois. That's a really big thing because not many people are writing a whole page on their website related to that, right? Not many people are going to do that. That's just not common. And then in addition to that, the other thing I'll say is that if you can, and small business owners, this is gold for them usually, if they're doing this right. A lot of times, what it makes sense to do. So let's say that they're in a specific city. If they were to search 10-mile radius outside of that city, they should create a page, if it's a plumber, for instance, right? Plumbers in Melbourne, Australia, plumbers in, I don't know other cities in Australia, Sydney. Actually, but so city, they should do plumbers and they should do those keyword focuses, and they'd be surprised because Google really, really likes that geocentric stuff.
They love that geocentric stuff. So just to play that out, if I was a real estate agent in Melbourne, and I'm going to list off some Melbourne suburbs, so I would do but first of all, I'd identify, and I'd know this, what suburbs I want to list homes in to sell. Then I would go and create a page, real estate agent South Yarra, real estate agent Armidale, real estate agent Toorak. These are suburbs of Melbourne. So far so good, Ron?
Yeah.
And then on that page, I would go into some detail about the nuances of selling a house in each of those suburbs. Create kind of relevant, interesting content that would appeal to someone selling their house in those suburbs, yeah?
Yeah. Cool. No, that's correct. Yeah, and I'd say, for each page, I would say a minimum word count of about 1,000-ish, which seems like a lot. Yeah, it is. I usually do. I tell my bloggers no less than 750 ever. Usually, I like to go 1,000 or more.
I remember seeing in a Google press release at some point, 300 words was kind of considered minimum. Not optimal.
Yeah. At a point back in the day, as we'll say.
Back in the day.
Yeah. No, that was a big thing. There's a lot of different studies out there now that have said that long form content, so that more content, that is one thing that does really well. And I actually I do some consulting myself, and I actually have an insurance agent that I work with, and I've been kind of coaching him through stuff. And he's been doing this for his life insurance stuff. And he's a local guy, and he's focusing on it. He's having a lot of success with it. It's going really well.
I saw a weird study recently that also said long form content is more shareable. And what they found is that whilst people may not read the entire article, if it's 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 words, they actually feel intelligent by retweeting it or liking it because it's a serious article.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, the biggest thing is make it so that it is scannable, I guess you could say. The scannability test. Because if you just have paragraph after paragraph that are 6 to 10 sentences long, nobody. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so those are. I mean, that geocentric stuff is huge. So that's with SEO. That's how I focus on for sure.
Love it. Okay, there was a 10% other marketing that you do outside of SEO, Ron.
Yeah, so this was really organic. It was kind of crazy how it happened. So like I said, my website has gone viral on Facebook twice now. Tim, I wish I could tell you how.
I was going to ask how.
No. I mean, it basically on the page, our main page so we've got Jobs for Felons Hub, and in the navigation, there's a link there that's just Jobs for Felons, right? So that's like the main page that I'm trying to rank on. That page in itself has been shared over 101,000 times on Facebook. The amount of advertising that has gone towards that is probably around $20 to $30 because I saw it going viral the first time, and
then a bit of a kick.
Yeah, well, it started to go down, and I was like, oh, I don't want it to go down. So then I threw a little bit of money at it, and it just didn't work. So I think I've looked on Facebook, and I actually found a way to understand who shares it on Facebook. And I just, there's been 2 times now that some, one of them was, I think it was nycjobs.com. So NewYorkCityJobs.com shared it on their Facebook, and it just got like 700 shares. And after that happens, it's the coolest thing to watch because your website just goes crazy. I had to call my hosting provider. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I got it. It was kind of a ride, but it happened twice, which I couldn't believe.
So let's go back to the why. The why for that one, New York City Jobs. I mean, that's a serious strategic partner. They've obviously got a big following. It would be a high-ranking site. So that makes sense. So they put it on Facebook, and then people grab it and share it on their Facebook. What was the other instance?
The other one was an interesting one that I discovered recently because I went back into the analysis. Because the first time I was like, I didn't even know that you could really figure out how who was sharing your stuff on Facebook as well as you could. There's kind of a weird way of doing it, but it was actually a record producer. It was not a guy that I don't think either of us would know, but it was just an individual that he just had a lot of connections, a lot of followers. He shared it, and it got shared like 400 times. And then, from there, it's just one of those things. It's not, it's hard to say because it's not one single point. It just gets shared by one person that's pretty influential, and then it just gets hit over and over and over, and then those people share it, and those people share it, and so that's what I've really seen happen.
Love it. Well, that would be exciting when that does happen. You need more of that.
Oh yeah,
you need more of that.
It's great. The first time I was jumping around, but the second time I woke up and I looked at my Google AdSense. And usually when I'm around like $10, $15 in the beginning of the day, it was at like 100 something, and I was what is going on? Because it happened. I was asleep. I had no idea. I wake up, I look at it, and then I'm like, what is going on? So,
love it. Last question, Ron, in regards to the domain name. Your website is jobsforfelonshub.com. You told me before we hit record that there is a jobsforfelons.com.
Yep.
Why on earth? No, I think I've just answered my own question in my mind. Keyword rich. Why did you go just with something that's so close to a competitor?
So, jobsforfelons.com, if you go there, it might even just be an ad page. It's a rinky-dink site. It has nothing. I went with I wanted the keyword-rich domain, which the debate is out whether or not that really matters nowadays. I still feel like it has a little bit of influence. Yeah, so I basically wanted, it was either going to be Jobs for Felons HQ, as in headquarters, or Jobs for Felons Hub. And I just said, you know what, Hub sounds better, and I just kind of went with it. But in terms of I know some people stress about
jobsforfelons.com is parked. Have you thought of approaching the owner?
Yeah, I think that their domain, they're selling it for $4,000, which Never. In my personal opinion, I see some people that, and this actually should be helpful for small business people. They stress a lot about the domain name and, should I actually buy that direct domain? I mean, unless you're like a lawyer getting huge, lead volume and it's worth a lot of money to you, I don't see it as worth it personally, because, I built a website that makes, $3-5 a month with hub at the end, as opposed to just the main keyword. So
yeah, right.
To me, the return on investment, which I'm big on, I don't see it. I just don't see it. So I never did it that way, and it worked out for me.
Mate, I just wonder whether down the track, when Jobs for Felons Hub is generating $5-10 a month, and I don't see why it shouldn't, that you'll look back and go, oh, gee, I wonder whether I should have bought jobsforfelons.com.
Well, at that time, I can buy it. If
you can buy it, yeah. Well, the price might go up.
Well, actually, if someone researches me, they're going to see that anyway. But yeah, I mean, it's funny now too. It's really cool because I'll look at my Google Webmaster Tools and analytics stuff, and I'll see that actually people search Jobs for Felons Hub now. They search it as a brand, so they know what it is. They search it directly in Google.
Yeah, good on you, Ron. Mate, well done. Interesting business. Great story. I like the why you've done it. Did your stepbrother get a job?
He did, actually. Actually, you know what? He jumped ship from Illinois. He lives in Oregon now, and he found a job there, and he's actually back on his feet. So
great. Well done to you, mate, for doing something good in this world and making a quid from it at the same time. Nothing wrong with that. Listeners, you can find it the website jobsforfelonshub.com. And Ron, are you on Twitter?
I am on Twitter. It is R Stefanski. I will say one other thing, Tim, is that my online home base, if you will, I actually have a totally different website, which is 1 Hour Professor, one spelled out. So onehourprofessor.com. That's where people can connect with me pretty easily there.
Easily.
Well.
Oh, good on you, Ron.
Yep.
All right, buddy. Thanks for sharing.
No problem.
Well, there you go. That's a fella doing good stuff. If you're just out of the clink, you're looking for a job, head over to jobsforfelonshub.com. You might find one. Maybe you know someone who's just out of the clink and is looking for a job. Hey, as Ron said, big support network goes to his website. Now, my top 3 attention grabbers from that fireside chat, thanks to Net Registry and Audible. Number 1, have a side hustle. We've spoken about this before, where I had that fellow who was an Uber driver. He used to be like an aeronautical engineer, and he started a little side hustle of as being an Uber driver, and now he's kind of crushing it. So start something that you're passionate about, and it may just take over whatever you're doing now, and you might love it more. Hey, imagine that. That'd be cool. Attention grabber number 2. Build out the pages on your website that are geographically relevant to the different areas you service. I love this idea. It's particularly relevant to service businesses, although I think it applies to product-based businesses as well. But it's a great way of adding lots more pages to your website for Google to index that are geographically relevant to different suburbs. So if you don't get that concept, go back and have a listen to what Ron was talking about earlier in the interview. It's a good one. Attention grabber number 3. If your website is getting decent traffic, you might want to consider adding Google AdSense to create additional revenue stream. Hey, that's a good one. A little bit of additional coin, a few more beers, a couple more books, buy the boomerang effect. Hey, don't know. Hey, what was your biggest takeaway? Love to know. Love the comments on the posts of the show notes of each show. Head over to smallbusinessbigmarketing.com/310. That is the episode number of this show. And let me know what you reckon. Malcolm Muggeridge once said, "Never forget that only dead fish swim with the stream." Hey, got some great feedback from listeners inside of the Apple iTunes store, and I always like to give them some recognition. I do ask you to leave a marketing question and your website address at the same time when you do this, guys, because I would love to give you some additional exposure. These 2 people haven't done that, but they've left some lovely comments, and I think there's learnings here for us all. This is, I love this bloke's name, Doc's Patches. Doc Patches? 5 stars. Just what I needed, he says. Started my own business this year after 25 years in academia. Whew, good on you. About time, Doc. This sort of training is awesome for me as I drive here and there. Yeah, I have a lot of people listen to the podcast in cars. I always say to new podcasters, make sure your audio is really good because people are listening in cars, walking the dog, at gym, and you're battling a lot of outside noise. Back to Doc, I digressed. Just signed up to the tribe, Timbo, after hearing about it on your latest podcast. Welcome, Doc, to the inner circle. Good on you, mate. Hopefully we'll drive some traffic my way. You bet we will. Keep up the great work, Timbo. Thanks, Doc. Love your work. Wish you'd left a website address. I could have promoted you. This one is from Warwick Jackson. Marketing gold that we can all use. 5 stars. Warwick says, this podcast is without doubt the premier podcast for entrepreneurs and small business owners. Oh, Walker, I'm loving your work already. Is it Walker or Jacko? Either or. Always entertaining. Invest around 45 minutes and I guarantee you will come away with 1 or 2 nuggets that you can apply to your business. So important. I know there's thousands of people listening to this show, and I love that. You know what I'd love even more? If I knew that you were implementing, if you were taking action, and that you were getting results. And if you are doing any of that, send me an email, tim@timreid.com.au, and tell me that you're getting results. I'd love to share them. I find it motivating, and I know other listeners would find that motivating. Back to Walker. He says, Timbo reminds the listener that marketing doesn't have to be a chore. It's fun. It doesn't have to be perfect, just authentic. Oh, you are absolutely on the money there, Walker. I am loving your work. It should be fun. It should be a hobby. He goes on to say, I own a small business advisory accounting firm and basically insist that clients subscribe to this podcast. It's that good. Oh, Walker, I'm getting a little bit tingly here and all a bit worked up. Thanks, mate. You're paying it forward. It helps me. But as far as I'm concerned, passing this podcast on to another business owner, it's like passing a book or a gift on to them and saying, here you go. This will help grow your business. Appreciate that, Walker. Hey, anyone else, head over to iTunes right now. Go on, right now. Leave a listener review and your marketing question and your website address. I'll give you some exposure. I'd love that. Not a lot of downside there. Okay, well, there's plenty of marketing gold coming your way in the weeks ahead, I promise. Upcoming guests include Lana from Mon Purse, a tailor-made handbag business that is absolutely exploding online and off. Yeah, she's got shops, she's got an online thing going. It is rocking. Plus, I will be reporting from the Philippines in a few weeks' time. So if you're not joining me on the tour, I'll sort of help you feel what it's like to be on the tour, if you like. Hey, if you need an upcoming speaker for an event, timreid.com.au is where you will find my speakers website. Big thanks to Daryl Misson for being the yin to my yang, whatever that means, and to Lockie Dolly for choosing to play with his organ. Wish I could do what he does with his organ. It's amazing. Check him out, lockiedolly.com. Hey, if you want to surround yourself with other motivated business owners, join the Small Business Big Marketing Club over at crankmymarketing.com. Membership includes forum access. We do some pretty good training webinars every now and then. There's other motivated business owners in there that'll keep you accountable, and I'll answer your marketing questions. Got to love that. 30-day money-back guarantee, by the way. No questions asked. Big hugs to Net Registry and Audible for making this show possible. Be sure to use Net Registry if you need a website or maybe you need to get yours found. And go and grab your free audiobook over at audibletrial.com/SBBM. Big breath. That brings us to the end of the show. Until next week, I am Timbo Reid. I will continue to be Timbo Reid. Thanks for listening to the Small Business Big Marketing Show. I love yous all. May your marketing be the best marketing. Bye for now.